Hey there, Eli. Mr. Carrington here. I'm gonna take a look here at your cause and effect essay and make some comments. Just the first thing that pops onto my mind when I look at this is that it's all centered. I think you want to have it toggled over there to the left, so left align all that. Let's talk about some of the content of your piece. This whole first bit here, it's an introduction. It's not just your thesis. You want to make sure you identify just one, maybe two sentences, but just one sentence really as your thesis. And let's take a look at some of the specific phrases that you used in this intro. You say many of these ways that are changed can be positive and negative effects that can help us and sometimes deter us. I think you want to verbally differentiate between the ways that can be positive and the ways that can be negative. So you might say something like, some of the effects that smartphones have can be positive, and give examples, while other of the effects can be negative and deter us from achieving our goals, such as X, Y, and Z. Okay, so that way you differentiate between the positives and the negatives, and you start to give us some specifics. Speaking of specifics, I'd love you to give us more specifics here. You say the impact from these small devices is monumental. That's a pretty big claim. What evidence do you have for that, or at least gesture at something more specific that you're going to talk about in a later paragraph? Here's something that we haven't really talked about in class, but I love that I'm getting to mention it now. You say, although many people believe that phones, iPods, and other handheld devices are tearing society apart, but you don't say who these many people are. If there's an author that you've read, like one of the articles, one of the authors of one of the articles, mention that author. Or even have a paragraph that comes before this one where you talk about how some authors think that phones are tearing people apart. Say that before you go into why you think they're not. Skipping down, at the beginning of this paragraph here, you talk about some of the negatives, but then you have like this tagged on sentence here at the end that says that some people are helped. I think you meant some groups or some people who didn't have access to really good education. I don't know if you mean whole societies, but maybe you do. Be a little bit more specific there. Anyway, and I think you want to make this a new paragraph, because it's talking about the positives, not the negatives that you mentioned up here in your topic sentence. Finally, I'm really intrigued by something you said down here. You say that we treat our phones like people and feel the need to have the newest and the fastest model. This seems like some really interesting social commentary could be made here. Like our society doesn't know how to treat people well, because we always think we can discard the old model and try to get a new model, or we're always discarding some friends or acquaintances in exchange for others. Maybe you mean that. Maybe you mean something else. Maybe you mean that our relationships aren't as deep as they ought to be, that we're all skimming across the surface and don't really form deep relationships. We're in the mindset of, oh, I need the newest and the best thing, and we don't develop history. We don't develop long-term relationships with others. I don't know, but I think there's a lot of potential there for talking about how this cell phone mindset is influencing us. Anyway, go ahead and make some of those edits, and look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Cheers.